Sup everyone, Thomas here, aka Restroom's Trainer, and welcome back to another one of my videos. So Pokémon Legends Z-A is now out, and with it, an excuse to return to by far the most popular topic on this channel, the Pokémon Home Pokédex. Now right away, I'm sure some of you are saying, there's already been DLC announced, why not wait for the DLC first, and then make the video? And believe me, that's actually what I wanted to do for several reasons. But I decided to make a poll about it, and you guys decided that you'd rather see it now. So here I am. Now for very obvious reasons, I would recommend watching part 1 and 2 before watching this video, since this video is going to serve as more of an update than a full-on breakdown. Also, there will be some minor spoilers for Legends Z-A. Nothing particular in terms of the story, but more so in terms of some of the new megas and stuff like that. Also, I feel it's important to clarify something with this video series going forward. The existence of the Switch 2. Since the point of these videos was to focus exclusively on the Switch. So how does a new console affect things? Well, for the time being, it doesn't. Z-A released on both consoles. And even then, the Switch 2 is backwards compatible with all the Pokémon games, home included. So it doesn't matter which one you use. And the video title doesn't get affected either. Though I will switch focus to the Switch 2 if things change in the future. Now since it's been over a year since the last video, I will quickly go over the rules again. Rule 1. The Pokémon, move, ability or form has to be obtainable in at least one of the Switch games. This includes the Let's Go games, Sword and Shield plus its DLCs, BDSP, Legends Arceus, Scarlet and Violet plus its DLCs, and now Legends Z-A. Rule 2. No transferring Pokemon from older games via Pokemon Bank. Rule 3. No transferring Pokemon from Pokemon Go. And Rule 4. No event Pokemon. If something is only obtainable on the Switch via a limited time event, it doesn't count. Now with all that covered, let's get started. Now last time, I mentioned that there were 25 Pokemon that were unobtainable on the Switch. And I'm happy to report that some of those Pokemon have been added in Legends Z-A. More specifically, the Elemental Monkeys, the Patrat line, and Furfrou. This means that with the exception of Spinder due to a bug, all remaining Pokemon are either legendaries or mythicals, or whatever the hell you consider paradoxes to be. Those Pokemon are Celebi, Deoxys, Victini, Genesect, Diancie, Hooper, Volcanion, Marshadow, Magearna, Zeraora, Meltan, Melmetal, Zarude, Spinder, Walking Wake, and Iron Leaves. Now I've got a feeling we'll see some of them down the line, but for now, still unobtainable. This means our total is now 1009 and a 1025. Now let's move on to moves. Last time, there were 66 moves that were unobtainable, and for the sake of not wanting to read them all out, I'll just show them on screen. Unfortunately, all of them remain unobtainable with one exception, Heal Block. Though aside from that, most of these are simply a case of not being programmed into the Switch games, while a few others are the signature moves of unobtainable Pokemon. Now that doesn't mean we're done here though, since we did get 2 new moves. After being coded into the games for years, we finally have the signature move of Eternal Flower Floette, Light of Ruin. Meanwhile, Zygarde gets yet another signature move, or more accurately, Mega Zygarde, since Core Enforcer gets replaced with Nihil Light, a move so powerful that it defies all laws of nature, striking even fairy types and ignoring stat changes. I think Mega Rayquaza might have some competition. Anyway, this brings our total to 753 out of 818. Now let's move on to abilities. And right away, I don't think I need to explain what the problem is here. There are no abilities in Z-A, and even then, none of the remaining ones will be obtainable anyway. Those being Battle Bond from Ash Greninja, Victory Star from Victini, and Soul Heart from Magearna. So our total remains at 303 out of 306. Now forms are a bit different. In the last part, I mentioned that there were 241 different forms to go through. Now this list didn't include Megas, G-Max forms or fusions, since they're added somewhat automatically. So the list of 241 is mostly made up of things like our creamy flavours and different Fabebe colours. But here's the thing, that total of 241 is actually wrong. I have no clue how I did this, but somehow I forgot to include the Vivian patterns in that total, despite mentioning them in the last video. So the total should have been 260, and now with Z-A, it's 261. Let's start with the obvious one, Eternal Flower Floette, who is finally obtainable legitimately. You can obtain her after doing the Infinite Z-A Royale 15 times, and then beating your rival. Next up is the Furfrou trims, which are now finally obtainable now that Furfrou itself is obtainable. And lastly is Vivian. In the last video, I mentioned that out of the 20 patterns of Vivian, only the fancy pattern was available, since all Spupa in Scarlet and Violet will evolve into the fancy pattern no matter what, or at least without the help of Pokemon Go, but we don't count that. If we take a look at Vivian in Z-A, we can see that they have the Meadow pattern, but that's not all. In the museum, there's a side quest where you have to find 10 Spupa hiding around the museum. Your reward for finding them all is also a Spupa. However, this one in particular is special, because if you evolve it into Vivian, it actually turns into the Marine pattern, adding 2 more forms to our total. And after covering all that, our new total for forms comes to 228 out of 261, which leaves 33 forms unobtainable. Those are the 8 Special Cut Pikachus, Roaming Form Gimmighoul, Attack, Defense and Speed Form Deoxys, Hooper Unbound, Dada Zarude, Battlebond Greninja, Original Colour Magearna, and the remaining 17 Vivian patterns. And I think that just about covers everything I want to... Yeah? Oh crap, that's right. Are you able to do the research real quick or something? Oh, you're a lifesaver. Thanks. Right, anyway. As you can probably tell by now, I was asked to try and cover shiny Pokemon as well. Seems easy enough. Now to keep things somewhat simple, I won't be covering forms here, only the base Pokemon. Meaning we once again have a total of 1025 to look through. Though we can cover a massive chunk right off the bat, seeing as pretty much every Pokemon that gets shiny locked is a legendary, it feels pretty safe to say that every non-legendary Pokemon can be obtained as a shiny, with the obvious exception of Spinder due to the bug. So right away, we have a total of 918 out of 1025. Now let's cover the legendaries. Now when it comes to shiny hunting legendaries, there are 2 main options. One is Ramida's Park from BDSP, but the downside is that A, you can only get Pokemon from Gen 4 and earlier, and B, you're playing BDSP. And so the much more appealing option is the Dynamax Adventures in the Crown Tundra. Not only are you dealing with some of the best shiny odds in the entire series, but it also includes just about every Pokemon from Gens 1 to 7, all of which can be shiny. Here's a list of the specific Pokemon. With this, our total is now 969 out of 1025. Now there is one last method of obtaining shiny legendaries. Pokémon Home itself. See, while Pokémon Home has its own national dex, it also tracks regional Pokédexes. Now these should be pretty self-explanatory. The only catch is that it keeps track of a Pokemon's game of origin. So a Pokemon Let's say Applin for example, that's caught and transferred from Sword and Shield will only count towards the Gala Dex. In order for it to count the Paldea Dex, you'll need one from Scarlet and Violet. Make sense? Anyway, if you manage to complete these, Pokémon Home will reward you. And luckily for us, those rewards include shiny legendaries. Completing the Sinnoh Pokédex gets you Manaphy. Completing the Gala, Isle of Armor, and Crown Tundra Pokédexes gets you Keldeo. Paldea, Kitakami, and Blueberry Academy Pokédexes give you Meloetta, and Hisui gives you Enamorus. Which brings our final total to 973 out of 1025, which leaves 52 shiny Pokemon unobtainable. Now about half of these are due to the Pokemon itself being unavailable, which we've already covered. But the rest are simply a case of being shiny locked in all obtainable appearances. Those Pokemon are Mew, Jirachi, Darkrai, Shaman, Arceus, Type Null, Silvally, Cosmog, Cosmorb, Poipole, Deganadel, Zacian, Zamazenta, Eternatus, Kubfu, Urshifu, Glastrier, Spectrier, Calyrex, Gimmighoul, Goldengo, Woichin, Jianpao, Tenglu, Chiyu, Koraidon, Miraidon, Okidogi, Munkidori, Pheasantipede, Ogerpon, Petrarunt, Gouging Fire, Raging Bolt, Iron Crown, Iron Boulder, and Terapagos. And I think that just about covers everything. So to recap, the amount of available Pokemon is 1009 out of 1025. Moves are about 753 out of 818. Abilities remain at 303 out of 306. Forms are now 228 out of 261. And shiny Pokemon are at 973 out of 1025. Now it's worth mentioning that Z-A doesn't have home compatibility yet, and likely won't for a few months. So it's possible that some of what I've said is wrong, since it's based on assumptions. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Know How Light wasn't included in Home's move decks, but we'll just have to wait and see. And it's also possible I've got other things wrong here as well, so feel free to correct me down in the comments. But that's going to do it for me here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps this channel out. Have a great day everyone, and I'll see you next time. See ya!